What's going on, everyone? Danny G here. I thought I'd touch on a couple things real quickly. So a couple days ago, Drew Brees was asked what he would think of players this upcoming NFL season deciding to kneel again for the national anthem to protest against police brutality, and this is what he had to say.
I'll never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. Let me just tell you what I see or what I feel when the national anthem is played and when I look at the flag of the United States. I envision my two grandfathers who fought for this country during World War II, one in the Army and one in the Marine Corps, both risking their lives to protect our country and this world a better place. So every time I stand with my hand over my heart, looking at that flag and singing the national anthem, that's what I think about. And in many cases, it brings me to tears, thinking about all that has been sacrificed, not just those in the military, but for that matter, those throughout the civil rights movements of the 60s, and everyone and all that has been endured by so many people up until this point. And is everything right with our country right now? No, it's not. We still have a long way to go. But I think what you do by standing there and showing respect to the flag with your hand over your heart is it shows unity. It shows that we are all in this together. We can all do better, and that we are all part of the solution.
Now, in my opinion, the only thing wrong he said was the very first thing he said there. Everything else he said after that was perfectly fine. But him saying that he'll never agree with anyone disrespecting the flag of the United States of America, I don't get after almost 4 years after Kaepernick took that knee during the 2016 season, that he still thinks that that's somehow disrespecting the flag of the United States when, well, kneeling is not a disrespectful act. And I want to make a quick correction about something I said in my last video. As I dived down deeper into my memory, I actually remembered, so what I said in my previous video was that at first when Kaepernick kneeled, I was not for it, but then as I thought about it more, I was. Well, actually, how it all started was in the Niners' first preseason game that year. Kaepernick actually just sat down on the bench during the national anthem, and he ended up saying he was going to continue to do that. I was against that because, in my opinion, sitting down and that is disrespectful to the United States because it just shows you don't really give a fuck and you're not paying attention. And I think that would be disrespectful. So I was against that. But as soon as he kneeled, and by the way, it was a veteran that told him to kneel, I was for it because kneeling is a sign of respect. There's so many people out there that just don't seem to get that. They think that anything except taking your cap off, putting your hand on your heart is somehow disrespectful to the anthem or to the flag. It's not. And I got a newsflash. This isn't North Korea. Everyone that died for the flag of the United States of America, they died for people's right to do whatever they want during the national anthem. But yes, I would think that just sitting down is disrespectful. There's people that do that when there's fans that do that at the game when the anthem's being played. They do that all the time. People don't really care probably that much about them because, they're not celebrities and no one really cares about what they do or not. But if a player does it, then yeah, I think that's wrong. But to kneel and to protest against police brutality, I am perfectly okay with that. And I think everyone that thinks that's somehow disrespectful needs to actually think about it more and think about, well, is kneeling that disrespectful of an act? Because isn't kneeling itself showing respect? That's what I think. But all that being said, Drew Brees, I think he's being ridiculed too much. And yesterday, at first, he posted on Instagram what I think was a sincere apology. It was just in text. But I think what he said was a really good apology and was sincere and was from the heart. And it was not just because he was getting backlash. I mean, he definitely had to make his apology because he was getting backlash when a bunch of his own teammates, Alvin Kamara, the 49er Emmanuel Sanders, a lot of his current teammates just came out and said that they were really disappointed in him and that he should not have said that. So he definitely did need to apologize for that reason. But still, his apology, you could tell from just how long it was, everything he said, that it was sincere. But even that was not good enough for people. And they still ridiculed him. They still called him a racist, a whole bunch of bullshit that's obviously not true. I mean, Drew Brees, he's been in this league for so long, and he's done so much for the city of New Orleans that has a big black population. He's had so many African American teammates that he's had a great relationship with. For anyone to sit there and say that he's racist for that comment, despite the fact that I do disagree with it, it's just completely absurd. And it just shows cancel culture at its finest, which I think is a big problem in this country. And so, of course, when that apology wasn't good enough, he posted an actual video on his Instagram and explained from the heart, with his own voice, just how sorry he was.
I know there's not much that I can say that would make things any better right now, but I just want you to see in my eyes how sorry I am for the comments that I made yesterday. I know that it hurt many people, especially friends, teammates, former teammates, loved ones, people that I care and respect deeply. That was never my intention. I wish I would have laid out what was on my heart in regards to the George Floyd murder, Ahmaud Arbery, the years and years of social injustice, police brutality, and the need for so much reform and change in regards to legislation and so many other things to bring equality to our black communities. I am sorry, and I will do better, and I will be part of the solution, and I am your ally. And I know no words will do that justice. That's going to have to be.
Yeah, so does that scream racist to anyone out there? To the people that just seem to think that when someone says something that's a differing opinion, oh, they must be racist. Ooh. Like, I think that is a major problem, and that is something that we need to stop here. Because unless someone's intention is to actually be racist, then they are not racist. And I do agree, though, that yes, just not being racist is not good enough. You need to speak out against racism. Racism is a major problem in this country. Innocent people like George Floyd are being killed by police because of the color of their skin. That is not good. That is not good. And, yesterday there was a video in Buffalo about a 75-year-old protester being knocked out by the police. I think most police officers are good. I do not like people saying, oh, fuck the police, fuck the police. Yeah, most police officers are good. A lot of police officers have spoken out against the unjust killing of George Floyd. But there are also a lot of bad apples out there. And the bad apples, they seem to come, there seems to be too many of them. Basically, there's just too many of them. I still definitely agree that most police officers are good, but there are definitely select few, and unfortunately, I'm learning after this whole thing that there's a lot more bad cops than I originally thought there were. So I think they need to be trained better. They need to be put through more psychological training, as if they're going to be a pilot and they're going to put people's lives in their hands, because they are putting people's lives in their hands. That's what I think. But yeah, the whole cancel culture, oh, cancel Drew Brees, he's a racist, that's just plain ridiculous. And I mean, of all the money that he's donated, the millions of dollars to the city of New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, and just after all the devastation that happened, it just shows that Drew Brees is a good person and that he's not a bad person. But yes, what he said about, oh, never agree with anyone disrespecting the flag, that is wrong, because kneeling is not disrespecting the American flag. But after he said it, he took the time to realize why what he said was wrong, and hopefully for his sake, everything is normal, because I just don't think it's right to ridicule someone who's clearly does not have bad intentions. And that brings me to something else. Now, Grant Napear, the voice of the Sacramento Kings, who also had his own radio show in Sacramento, his own sports talk radio show, was he at first was put on paid leave and then ended up being fired because, well, DeMarcus Cousins, longtime Sacramento King, former Warrior, and most recently a Laker, well, he decided to tweet Grant Napear and ask him this question. Now, let me just give some backstory on the relationship between Grant Napear and DeMarcus Cousins. Grant Napear on his radio show has been outspoken a lot about how he does not like DeMarcus Cousins as a person, well, as a player too for the Kings, and he was happy when he was no longer a member of the Sacramento Kings. And a year ago, around this time, when the Warriors were playing the Raptors in the NBA Finals, when Kevin Durant played and then broke his leg, and the Toronto Raptor fans were cheering, DeMarcus Cousins was asked about that, and he basically just called the Raptor fans that cheered when KD got injured, he called them trash, as they should have been called, because what they did, that was horrible. And of course, not all the Raptor fans were doing that, but a lot of them were, and yes, that is trash. So anyway, Grant on his radio show talked about it the next day, and this is what he had to say.
If there is any player in the NBA that should not be talking about fan behavior and about how they treat athletes as opposed to people, it's DeMarcus Cousins. This guy is the rudest, crudest, most vile player that I've ever been around in my 31 years of covering the NBA. He should not be speaking on this in any way, shape, or form. He doesn't have the forum, shouldn't have the forum, and is the worst possible person to ask a question about the fans. I have witnessed not once, not twice, not 10 times, not 20 times, not 30 times, not 40 times. I have witnessed over and over and over and over and over again DeMarcus Cousins cursing at fans for no reason at all. I've seen him curse at women. I've seen him curse out people at the airports. I've seen him curse in front of ladies that have nothing to do with the sport that he's playing. For him to be talking about the fans, shame on him. Shut the hell up and for once act like a freaking professional. You got run out of Sacramento, you got run out of New Orleans, and I'm telling you right now, you're getting run out of Golden State.
So that just shows that Grant Napear just did not like DeMarcus Cousins at all. So, of course, when he gets asked that by DeMarcus Cousins, this is how he responds. Now, that definitely was not the right response at all. And all lives matter. I'm going to be honest with everyone. I did not really know what that exactly. I mean, I knew, you know what it means. Yes, of course, all lives do matter. But I did not really know that exactly that responding with that to Black Lives Matter is offensive because, well, it's kind of saying that, oh, if a house is on fire, then, you know, don't give that house attention because all houses matter. And, you know, if one of your relatives has cancer, you know, don't give them the full attention because all cancers matter. And honestly, that does make sense. So I don't think that saying all lives matter is the politically correct response to Black Lives Matter. But I also don't think that it is worthy of losing your job. So I can see it both ways. Yes, that is not the correct response. However, no, that does not also mean that Grant Napear is a racist. And yeah, Matt Barnes, who I'm actually a big fan of Matt Barnes, as a lifelong Warriors fan, and the 2007 We Believe playoffs, the first year that I watched Warriors basketball, and then of course Matt Barnes came back in 2017 and won a ring. So I love Matt Barnes as a player. I think all the stuff he's doing off the court, he's great. You know, he's a good activist for cannabis in the NBA being legalized and all that. And I like Matt Barnes a lot. But I don't think it was really right for him to just call Grant a closet racist unless he was going to give examples of why he thought that. And then, of course, Chris Webber spoke out too. So what I think is that those players, they've thought he's racist for a long time. And I've seen other people say, oh, that they've always thought he was racist. But if that's true, they need to actually provide evidence as to why. And what I think is, I think that Grant Napear just wasn't liked because the dude seems like kind of a douche. So people just didn't really like him, and because of that, the Kings and the radio station had a good excuse to fire him. I just don't think that's right. And I just don't like the whole cancel culture thing that, oh, this person said this, so cancel them, they must be racist. It's obvious that Grant's intention was not to be racist. So we need to stop labeling people as racist unless their true intentions were to actually be racist. I've seen in Arizona, I've seen people that actually are racist, that actually have used the N-word in a derogatory way, that actually have flown the Confederate flag on their trucks before. I've seen that. I've seen people actually be racist. So I think it is offensive to call someone whose intention is not to be racist, racist. That's just how I see it. But yes, I do agree that we need to speak out against racism. Racism is a big problem in this country. Innocent black people being shot by police is horrible. And it is not what I want to see in my future. When I get older and end up having kids, I don't want them to have to grow up with racism too. Even if they're going to be white, of course. No one should have to deal with having to see racism because it is horrible for anyone to see. Like, as someone who's white, I hate seeing black people being discriminated against for the color of their skin, or Mexicans, or any other race. It sucks. It's horrible. Fuck racism. But also, fuck labeling someone that clearly isn't racist and whose intention isn't to be racist, racist. As for Drew Brees and Grant Napear. Anyway, that's all I got. I just wanted to touch on that real quickly because I just think that this world can be way too politically correct, and we need to stop that, and we need to be able to have dialogue without jumping to conclusions that quickly. So Danny G is out. Peace.